Welcome back to the rundown from Down Under. My name is Buddy Pulley. I am here with me, myself, and I for the second week in a row. I have a feeling Seth will be back after hopefully a big weekend at Watkins Glen. It was the exact opposite well, it was a big weekend, a big bust of a weekend for Shane Van Gisbergen at Atlanta Motor Speedway this past weekend, which is what we'll be covering today, as well as getting into some fun stuff coming up next weekend. Well, this coming weekend. Either way, Shane, like I said, it was not a good weekend for him. He finished, I believe, 27th in the Xfinity race and then 32nd in the Cup race. Seriously disappointing. He had a top 10 run going into the Xfinity race, and it was a self-admitted error. He got in the wall in turn 3 and really damaged the car pretty bad. I think he ended up finishing like 6 laps down. And then, which, that's the thing. It's like, that's how the super speedways go sometimes. There's no real rhyme or reason. Shane, his first 3 super speedways at Daytona, Atlanta, and Talladega earlier this year, he had a 12th, a 3rd at Atlanta, and then he was running top 5 when he ran out of gas at Talladega with the overtime restart. So, but since we've gone to Daytona and now this second Atlanta race, they've been a bit of a struggle. Shane got caught up in a wreck at Daytona and now into the wall here. So that's unfortunate to say the least. But you know, as we say, you'll have that in big time stock car racing. As far as the Cup race, he had a 32nd place finish. He qualified near the rear of the field, I think 28th. I can't remember exactly, I'm gonna be honest with you. But he was working his way up pretty good, actually. They had gotten inside the top 20. They're probably about, I think it was about probably 50 or so to go. And then crash happened on the backstretch, and Shane got some damage, and it turned out the toe link was broken, which severely damages the car. And even though they can get it fixed, they can't get it all the way fixed, and it's time-consuming fix when they do. And he ended up going 2 laps down, and there was really no normal rash of cautions that we normally see at a super speedway, so he really had no opportunity to make it back up and get a better finish. So tough weekend in Atlanta, but honestly, I mean, super speedways are so unpredictable that as far as the Cup race, it was very much a sponsor driven, we want Shane in the Cup race deal. And so there's not a ton to learn there. I mean, I think super speedways are just one of them deals. Xfinity, he's already in the playoffs. You know, I doubt he's not gonna win the regular season title. He's way too far back. He is probably not gonna have the most playoff points out of anyone. So I mean, this isn't as tough a weekend as it was. It's just not a huge loss for Shane. Obviously, it's a loss of weekend as far as experience and result, but if there's going to be a weekend to have one of these, Atlanta and Daytona are the 2 to have rough weekends. Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's really all I got for Atlanta. The bulk of this video, I just want to talk more about Watkins Glen. Obviously, that's going to be a big weekend, hopefully, for Shane Van Gisbergen. I think we all have high hopes going into the Glen. So when we come back, we will talk about Shane Van Gisbergen's weekend coming up at Watkins Glen International. So, heading into Watkins Glen, it's yet another double-duty weekend for Shane Van Gisbergen. Let's break down the Cup race first. There's been a much-publicized test at Watkins Glen that happened over the summer, where there was this huge story that's been the tire fall off. There was apparently over 4 seconds of fall off in the first test, only 2 seconds of fall off when they tested there again. So really, it's kind of up in the air. These guys tend to dial it in, and I'm leaning towards the more 2-second tire deg versus the 4. Either way, I think this only plays into Shane Van Gisbergen's hands. He obviously, tire deg was a big part of the supercars. You guys know that. He was very good at that. And I think it puts it more in the driver's wheelhouse than I think if it would have been a normal tire, a tire that didn't wear as much, which we've seen the past couple of years at Watkins Glen. Because Watkins Glen, it's going to be an uphill battle for Shane either way, because Watkins Glen, the Cup Series has been running there since 1989. Everyone has a huge notebook there. Most of the guys in the field have tons of knowledge on how to get around Watkins Glen, and they call it the super speedway of road courses for a reason. My the reasoning might not be this, but this is why I think it is. It's because it's not as technical and it's not as hard. These guys could fly 5 car widths off the curb. There's no real penalty for missing corners. So it's just, it doesn't play. Being a road course ringer doesn't mean as much at Watkins Glen in the Cup Series, which sucks. It sucks a lot. But like I said, the more tire deg there is, I think that plays into Shane's hands. He also, even though it's a Kaulig Racing number 16, Trackhouse has a heavy hand in that car. And Daniel Suarez was one of the 3 cars that did the initial test at Watkins Glen. So I would imagine a lot of that data could get transferred over to Shane, knowing that Shane's probably got a really good shot at having a good run. It is in the playoffs, which I think actually helps Shane, because I think a lot of the playoff guys, there's 2 strategies that will get run. You will either go for stage points or you'll go for wins. And a lot of the playoff guys, I have a feeling, will lean towards going for stage points. Shane doesn't have to do that. Shane's not running for points. He's going to lean more towards, I want to win the race. So I think that plays into Shane's hands as well. And he's going to need that, and he's going to need higher tire deg to overcome the fact that, just 1, the notebook everyone has, 2, just probably the aero deficiencies that 16 car has compared to a Gibbs or a Hendrick. It's no secret that car's not been great. Shane's had 3 road courses this year so far. He was obviously probably going to win the Chicago Street Race had had Chase Briscoe not been a nutsack. But I mean, they had all sorts of issues at COTA, and he wasn't as fast as maybe I thought he was going to be at COTA. And I think a lot of it has to do with the car. So Cup Series race, I hope obviously there's some other ringers in there not running for points. AJ's in a 3rd Kaulig car in the number 13. That car hasn't really performed very well. I think they've only had 1 decent run with AJ in that car. And then Juan Pablo Montoya is in a 3rd 2311 car. So that'll be cool, just if they're racing around each other, just to see that battle. I would imagine they're all going to be on kind of the same strategy of trying to win the race versus going for stage points. So it would be cool to see them go at it. As far as the Xfinity race, I think anything less than a win is a disappointment. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't care about the notebook that these Xfinity guys have. I don't care about the less technical race course. Shane Van Gisbergen has been that much better than the Xfinity guys on road courses this year. It's just a fact of life. He, should have won COTA, did win Portland, did win Sonoma, did win Chicago pretty handily, took Ty Gibbs behind the woodshed at Sonoma, schooled Kyle Larson at the Chicago Street Race. I think Ty Gibbs is running an Xfinity race. I think William Byron's running the 17 car. Yeah, William Byron's running the 17 car for Hendrick. I think there might be another Cup guy in the field. Either way, I think Kaulig has such a notebook. It's such a notebook full of winning setups at Watkins Glen or just any road course in the Xfinity series that I think that alone could overcome the lack of experience in these cars for Shane at Watkins Glen and the notebooks that the other teams have. And then Shane's just Shane Van Gisbergen. Like I said, anything less than a win, I'm going to be disappointed. I think it'll be interesting to see. I don't know what kind of tire they're bringing to the Xfinity series. I don't know if there's going to be high tire deg there too. I don't think so, but I don't know. You never know sometimes. But obviously, 2 road courses. I think this is Shane's wheelhouse. We all know this. I think there's things leaning in his favor in the Cup Series to give him a shot at the victory. I think the Xfinity Series, I think it's his race to lose. So hopefully it's a big weekend for the rundown from Down Under. Shane obviously could use the could definitely use the extra playoff points going into the playoffs. It'll be interesting to see what kind of strategy they pull in the Xfinity race to maybe get stage points. I don't know. I think a lot of it's going to depend on what maybe the 7 car does and some of these other guys he's running for the championship do. But I think it'd be a little silly not to just outright go for the win because you have a car and driver that can do it. So I don't know. That's really all we got for this week. I know a little abbreviated. Atlanta was not much to talk about, and Watkins Glen. It's I don't have anything else to say about it. I think it's very much anticipated for me, and I'm excited for the weekend, and hopefully we get to celebrate on next week's rundown from Down Under. So with that, please subscribe. Please listen to this week's podcast post Atlanta. We had Peter Strada on talking about the new charter deal in NASCAR. So if you want to learn about that, we give some great insight there, as well as, we're posted a lot of videos last week. If you guys haven't watched it, we posted a bandwagoners guide to the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs. So if you want to learn about the playoffs, how it works, and who's in it, go watch that video for sure. And then we will be posting a Xfinity playoff bandwagoners guide once we get to the Xfinity playoffs. So yeah, that's it for the rundown from Down Under. I appreciate you guys watching. Please make sure you subscribe, help us get to 1,000 subscribers, and we will see you after Watkins Glen.